Welcome to the EmpowerHer Entrepreneur podcast with Janis Boudreau, the ultimate destination for fearless women business owners ready to conquer their next level of success. Get ready to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit as we dive deep into all things related to building your empire, setting ambitious goals, and scaling your business to new heights. This podcast is your go-to resource for empowerment and encouragement. Tune in every week as we inspire, motivate, and empower you to embrace your full potential as a woman entrepreneur.
Hi, everyone. Great you're joining us today. I have a very special guest with us. This is somebody who has been a colleague and a friend. I can't remember how long it's been, 5 years or so.
About a few years.
Quite a few years. And we've gotten to know each other, especially with our different businesses. So today on the podcast, I have Sarab Dormani with me, who is the CEO and owner of Natural Soul Wellness in Ottawa. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And she is with us today because we're doing a podcast on adapting to a dynamic business landscape, of which you have definitely had to do. So I'm going to lead it away with you if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what made you build the business, how the business is going, what's in your business, what's amazing. Because a lot of our listeners are women entrepreneurs. They may be in a foot care business. They may be in another one. But I mean, you took foot care and then you took it to basically a whole nother level. So tell us about kind of what you did.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me over and allowing me to share my passion and my experience in the last few years. So I've been a registered nurse for about 12 years, and I actually had a background in the emergency department. Back in 2018, I had a slip and fall, a leg injury, and I was off of my feet for quite some time. And I think I did a lot of soul searching during that time, and I found out that as nurses, we can actually advance our practices and work independently as foot care nurses. So I had no idea this even existed for nurses, and I thought it was absolutely amazing to look into this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got a bit better, I took the course and I didn't really know where I was going. I was like, I'm just going to take the certification and see how it goes. And I absolutely fell in love with the practice. And I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to do. But me personally, I didn't want to just do foot care. I was really in love with the whole wellness, holistic approach. Because working in the emergency department, you always see people at their worst. And I was like, I think I want to build something where people come in because they feel good and they want to feel good. So I started thinking about a business model that offered different services, where I, as a foot care nurse, I can work with other practitioners and just really offer that whole holistic approach to patients. Anyways, fast forward, our business was supposed to open in March 2020.
Oh,
And that's when the global pandemic hit. Yeah, so it's been quite of a roller coaster. So already that first week, I lose staff. I'm not able to open up the clinic. My suppliers are all delayed. I was getting equipment being shipped from China. Everything was like frozen, basically paralyzed. Nothing was moving in and out of China. One of the services that we offer in our clinic is skincare, and our skincare line is all from Italy. And if you guys remember back in 2020, Italy was the second country that was so strongly hit the global pandemic. So it was really, really chaotic up until, so we weren't able to open in March 2020. And then June 2020 is when there was that phase 1 or 2 of reopening in Ontario, and that's where businesses were able to reopen. I wasn't reopening, I was opening in a global pandemic. And I remember that first week, it was just me, myself, and I, and my partner. Everyone had quit. No one was going to go work for a new business. I was just opening their doors in a pandemic. I didn't have any clientele base. All of my networking, my lunch and learn, everything was canceled. You can't really go out there and connect with people. There was like no social events, no networking events. Everyone was struggling. So it's been a wild ride. We can talk through through all the details of the pandemic, but might have to get my tissue box out again because it was quite emotional.
I'm having you on here because you just really adapted to a dynamic. I totally forgot you opened during the pandemic. Talk about the most adaptation that you probably had to do in your whole business career. You did it from like the week one. That's, oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so like we didn't have a lot of our equipment, we didn't have a lot of our supplies. We couldn't even list our business on Google because there was something with Google for like 4 months during the pandemic. So we weren't even showing up on Google. This is a funny story. Bell, which is our telephone line. Maybe I shouldn't have said Bell, but we can cut that one. Anyways, our telephone line had screwed up our phone numbers, and we were getting had screwed up our phone numbers with a sex shop that had closed in the city. And then their phone number was linked to our business. So all the calls coming in were people asking certain requests about certain things that obviously our business was not related to that and we could not accommodate. So instead of getting people calling to book appointments,
I mean, we get foot fetish ones once in a while.
No, I mean, I was like,
this is totally different.
You will be very disappointed if you come to our clinic. Yeah, so there was all these specific requests coming in. I was like, no, this is not what my business is. Anyways, I'm laughing about it today. 4 years ago, I was freaking crying about it. So you will go through these up and down moments in opening a business, where you go through like a whole mix of emotions. And the important thing I think right now is looking back and being like, haha, but definitely during that time, it was very, very stressful. Being a new business, we did not qualify for any of the government aids that were offered for small businesses in a pandemic because we didn't have any revenue generating before March 15th, 2023.
I got
because
wow.
We got nothing. So we reached out to members of the parliament. We reached out to MPs, MPPs, saying that, okay, this is not normal for a new business to open up and not have any government aid, and that everything you guys are asking, like, what about people in our situation? And everyone was like, oh, we didn't know there was this I don't know, this like crack in the system. We're so sorry. We're going to look into it. We'll get back to you guys. And crickets. Like no one ever got back to us. So at some point I was like, you know what? I'm tired of waiting for the government to come and like save my, ASS out of this global pandemic. Like I'm just going to have to navigate it through myself. So
you just so keep going because this is quite the journey.
Yeah,
far right now, so keep going.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm just trying to think of like everything that went through. It's just been, like I say, it's been a wild ride. My 30-page business plan was out the door because that wasn't even working anymore. If this podcast was a visual, I would show you what my schedule looked like back in the days. Where week by week, I only had like 1 or 2 patients. And I mean, look, right now I'm seeing at least 12 patients a day just myself. But back then it was like 2 patients a week. And just trying to figure out like finances and just everything and new suppliers and new equipment and new this, new that. And just looking at this clinic that I had just built that's like over 2,000 square feet and just being there by myself and being like, oh my God, like how am I going to do this? And right now I'm at a place right now where I'm like, oh, I think I'm running out of room. So, it's just,
excited.
Yeah.
Like, where to head, Rob? Like,
yeah.
Or just like what was the scoop? And then you transition because you got full.
I think obviously navigating through not just the pandemic, because after that it was all of the struggles with the economy, was just listening to patients, listening to our community, and really, really connecting to our patients. So that's I think one thing we've learned was what it truly means to be a local business and not just like a big corporation, is that you really, really get to connect with your patients, and sitting down while doing foot care and hearing patients talk to me during the appointments. And I just taken that information really, really to the heart, and I've adapted our business to our patients' needs. So one of the things that came out during that time, during the pandemic, was that people really, really liked coming to our clinic because they felt safe, seeing a nurse giving their care and knowing that we had proper, um, infection prevention control and measures in place to ensure their safety, like the fact that we autoclave all of our instruments. So though, and then I've sort of adapted those practices in our skincare and facials. And I was like, okay, well, I already have an autoclave. So if I'm going to, we're giving, because one of our services, like I said, is medical aesthetics. So we're using equipment for facials and skincare. Well, I'm also going to say that we're going to bring in these protocols in place where we are going to autoclave our instruments for medical aesthetics, because not a lot of our competitors are doing that, and that's something that's going to be standing out. And knowing that the medical aesthetics side of the clinic is overseen by a registered nurse as well, that's something that outstands us from our competitors. So, so those were all things that I was learning as I was going.
So the
Yeah.
pandemic, though, see how it kind of changed our mode of thinking for PPE and safety.
Yeah.
I really think it actually, for a lot of us, propelled our businesses, because how you were like, wait a second here, you were listening, you were using your clients as a resource, and there's a whole different business model that came out of this, and your expansion and what you were going to offer. And I mean, I absolutely know, use gold standard practices for everything that you do, but now you've went beyond foot care. You're doing it for medical aesthetics. You're doing it for absolutely everything. And that it stands out. It's, you're
Sure. Yeah, no, and I think we've changed our business model to be more of like a medical spa, but with, those clean, safe practices, and really, really embracing the term medical, because being a registered nurse, we are, as nurses, we are medical professionals, and we need to take that in, and we need to um, at the beginning, a lot of patients were coming in and they were like, I didn't even know nurses did that. I didn't even know this existed, because they didn't know that this was a possibility. So I think it was bringing in a lot of awareness into the community about what we are offering, being a nurse-led clinic, and really being proud that as nurses, we have so much knowledge and so much ability and so much clinical opportunities to be able to grow and to offer the different models that we can offer in our field. One of the things I did that I noticed worked a lot in terms of advertisement was to share my story rather than just put out ads out there. I was like, I can put an ad that like, oh, this is what we do. But a lot of people really connected with who I am. So I was like, I'm just going to get out raw and vulnerable and just share my story. And so I did, I connected with a lot of local papers, and I was given the opportunities to, share my story throughout the years. And just, I think it was, I don't know what to say. Yeah, and at some point I was at the beginning I was ashamed of my story, but I think I also learned to be like, no, this is who I am. This is what I've built. And if you look at like a lot of celebrities out there, a lot of them started with like not a lot, with nothing, and they've grown into like, oh my God.
But you know what? You've built something that people are comfortable into. The one thing is they find comfort in that. So I know even myself, I use, I'll give a shout out to Shannon. She's my face person. She's a wonderful nurse who, absolutely like you're saying, so not only am I getting stuff done aesthetically, but she's keeping an eye on me for other things. Something so comforting in that, which is what you pull into your business model, because you're overseeing, and clients are coming in, and often everything that we see can be through, skin, hair, nails, and teeth, right? Everything's coming out. And if you're working on them, you're getting that opportunity. Not to knock a regular spa person, but boy, to have that added plus of having a nurse with all of her knowledge and all of the reprocessing and protection that we use for the clients, your model's absolutely It's brain busting. Like, I mean, you've been extremely successful. And I like how you have said you built this business because you soul searched. So you're already
Hmm.
that person who realizes and who is adaptive. You've gone up and down. You've had to smooth the way. And I think for
Hmm.
a lot of women entrepreneurs, if you have to be that way to be able to make it. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, there's never a quiet week or quiet day. I just want to
I
mention
know.
I've rescheduled this with you no less than 4 times because
I know,
I,
it's just been
I've
wild.
been
Yeah.
busy. But you know what? I think that if people give each other a little bit more as businesswomen grace, that
Yeah.
I mean, literally 5 minutes before this is, about to take place, I have to terminate somebody. And look at that popped up. That was my morning. And I thank God I didn't reschedule. But there's always these things. And I think those of us that are successful and move on are ones that ride the roller coaster. And
Yeah.
we keep going and I bet you're always thinking of ingenuitive or different things. I know we've been in touch recently, talking back about, back and forth about different things that you're needing in your business and change.
Mm.
You're gonna, as you develop or as you need more, you were like looking into contracts.
Mm.
I think we're always bettering ourselves to what we are as um, our companies are, like I said, a local company, a businesswoman, what as a boss, as all these different things. Because I love to see you on your journey.
Oh,
It's part of it a little bit. So it's been nice seeing like, well, what do you do this? I think a lot of us, it's nice to have these friendships. Uh,
yeah. For sure. You need to build a community. You need to build, like, you can't think you're all alone in this.
oh heck no.
And definitely at the beginning of the pandemic, like I felt so alone because no one was talking to each other. You're not allowed to socialize, or when you go out, wear a mask and like, shut your mouth kind of thing, because that's how we were told to act in the pandemic. And it's, we can talk about that on another podcast, how it's been just mentally destructive. But um
It's been
and
all
it took time to be able to build these little friendships and to sort of connect with people,
the
and to
network.
kind of, yeah,
I love,
uh,
I know I can ask you about certain things. And even though I've been in the business 14 years, you've been in it 5 years, I've got people who've been in it 10 years. We
yeah.
all have different things going that we can pull from each other. Questions and
Mhm.
I do like the networking. I like how all of us are starting to utilize each other. So maybe me, I might be head in what I'm doing for staff, right? Because I'm kind of on that process as my team's bigger, but
Mhm.
something completely different that I might need to lean on you. And,
For sure.
I just recently also opened the spa section.
Mhm.
The struggle's been real, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Making sure everything's like in play and whatnot. It's been good to see you adapt along the way. Is there anything that you found was kind of hard, like not the pandemic, but outside of that, like if you could give advice to anybody that just keep going or this is hard or so maybe it was something new we had to deal with. I know we don't have to talk about this specific one in full, but like I know sometimes as nurses, we we worked in an environment like Emerge or we worked in hospitals that we weren't worried, not worried, but we weren't getting reviews. We weren't getting, it wasn't a customer or a client feedback, correct? It was always
Yeah.
patient feedback. It is a
Yeah.
totally different world now we are living in.
Yeah.
Um, like I told you, I had to terminate somebody because I got a couple complaints.
Yeah.
Uh, but we're now dealing with keeping clients happy too. It is a
Yeah.
different level. Not to say we didn't love our clients in the hospital, I was just like come out like that. But I think
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like how are you
Right.
with because we're dealing now with people us we do a lot of pediatrics but all the way up to older age and now we're dealing with a whole different aspect of it, right? The
Yeah.
yeah, what they're saying.
Yeah. So definitely, patient slash client satisfaction is your number one,
Yeah.
is our number one priority for sure. Um, It is a very different environment connecting with patients in clinic than it is in the hospital. It's a different type of caregiving. I mean, they're both as important, the quality of care that you're offering. Um,
They're
but
paying. So it is a
yeah,
different
obviously when they're paying, it's a
it's
different level than
different. I had to
our
learn
taxes paying.
I had to even teach new office staff that come in. I'm like, they're paying for this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Just because I found, not all, but some medical offices or doctors' offices, they can be
yeah,
a bit more straight or narrow or even a
yeah,
little
yeah,
older.
yeah.
If it's no hip, they're coming in, they've got to get seen, and that's not the case for us anymore. So,
No, no, for sure. So yeah,
yeah.
we don't, yes, our appointments are booked for a certain time, but from the minute you start the appointment to the end of it, you are with your patient that whole time. You're not trying to rush through.
Oh,
You're not just, like, okay, this is a point form appointment, like A, B, C, D. You're connecting, you're going with the flow. I connect a lot with my patients' energies. So sort of having those chitty chatty conversations with them, and it's just fun. It's good appointments, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I feel like we're chilling too much, and because you want to still keep your professional boundaries, but at the end of the day, we're all human. I would say that it's really, really important. What I've noticed is that people were coming back for me, not just for the foot care, so for who I am as a nurse and a person and as a caregiver. So that is number one. And you want to make sure that that culture is through your entire staff. So
oh,
from the minute that they
oh,
walk through your reception, they are greeted like they were being greeted into your living room. Um,
absolutely. We have the
so
same body for sure.
yeah. So I'm a very big like hostess. So if you come to dinner at my place, I will host you from A to Z. Well, it's the same culture in my clinic. So when you walk in, um, I, you know, I made sure that the environment was warm, was welcoming. I have a little eucalyptus diffuser, so people's senses already, awaken when they come in and they feel relaxed. There's spa music. There's
The experience, which is
yeah, exactly that experience. So I'm really, really big about the Walt Disney experience because people will pay anything to go to Disney, just for that experience, just for that feeling. So I think it's important to have that same culture into your clinic. Not that I charge the same fees as Walt Disney World, but I'm just saying that
I might use
uh,
this for my staff. I love that term. It's like the
yeah,
Disney experience. It truly is.
yeah, it really, really is.
Successful. Look at
Yeah,
you're not losing. You gain client. You're growing. You just grew out a 2,000 square foot facility. You're
yeah,
near your yeah. And
yeah,
you must admit, like when one thing went successful, then you moved on to another. That's a
yeah.
lot of what adaptive business owners will do. Just
Mhm.
that reflexology, good. It's going. It's running. And
Yeah.
then the brain gets going again. What else can I add as
What
another?
else can be great? Yeah. And for us, I mean, it was important to make sure everything was interconnected because we've tried other practices. We brought in other therapies, and it just didn't work with our business model. And at some point, it was like, okay, I'm sorry, this isn't working. This is not. It's
Don't
not
forget that,
connecting.
everybody out there. See, we both
Yeah.
said we did stuff that did not work.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. And that's fine. It's hard when you're going through it, but um
Free.
it also when a door closes, another door opens, and that's definitely something I've seen a lot through my business. So everyone that walked out, someone else walked in, and it
Absolutely.
worked for a period of time, and then after that, that walked out again, and something else walked in. So
Same. I had something that didn't work for me about 8 years ago, and now it's a successful add-on, which was also our Medi Spa section. So
yeah,
what didn't work, what I couldn't do, and I was so frustrated. Now it's
yeah.
come back. Wow. I mean, it's grown huge. You're probably going to be hearing from me next week for some ideas, even for what I
Well,
bring in. So, looking at all this, if you could give one piece of advice as we close out the podcast, what would you
hmm.
like to say to any, whether it be an aspiring foot care nurse business or somebody who is like you, soul searching, possibly looking into independent practice? Do you have a couple words of wisdom that you want to pass on from your amazing
um,
success
yeah.
story?
I mean, I think it's important. You're gonna laugh. So what I've noticed is it's important to make a plan. So I made a 30-page business plan. Did I stick to it? No. I've adapted through it. It's like I said, you're gonna laugh. It's kind of like my birth plan. I went in there and I said, this is how I want to give birth to my first child. And I ended up with like an almost emergency C-section. But I've adapted through it. So basically that's how my business has been. I think that word of wisdom, the big word of wisdom that my mom always has told me was after a rainstorm, there's always going to be the sunshine. And that's really what kind of kept me going through all of the thunderstorms and rainstorms that I've had in my business. I always told myself, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Like there is going to be a sunshine and it's going to get cloudy again and it's going to get sunny again. So there are going to be some good weeks and there are not going to be some super great weeks. I think you have to be ready to go through that because if you can't, then I think it's important to know that, okay, well, maybe this is not for you. Like you need to know yourself. You need to know what you can handle and what you cannot handle. Some nurses go into this just doing foot care because bringing in other disciplines or other things can be challenging. Like we have medical aesthetics. Medical aesthetics is a department of its own. We had to invest in high-end technologies because that's what it is. We have to bring in lasers, we have to bring in this, we have to bring, quality skincare, because that's what the market is, that's what the competition is, but also being a medical spa, that's, you have to level up to that. You have to make sure you have a team that's on point with your medical aesthetic practices. There's a lot of liability related to that. So those are all challenges you have to be able to know if you're ready to take on those challenges. So that's soul searching, like know yourself is super important and know if you can adapt to change or not.
Good advice. Thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad two very, very busy business women have been able to get together. So everybody, hope you enjoyed today and we will see you again in the future.